3 seconds? 2 seconds? 1 second? Patch downloaded. It's Crucible Radio. We're talking 2.0 this week. We're in preview week. We got new maps. We've got a new weapon balance. We've got new game modes. There is so much to do and so much to talk about. And I am so excited right now, guys, to announce his triumphant return. The rap star Bones comes back with his new Taken King single. Bones, take it away.
Whoa. Birds.
I thought you were going to...
I know there's a lot of hype, but the Taken King, it's dropping, and so will my song, all in due time.
I still have 3 more hours.
Hey, Bones. Hey, Swain. You know, normally I ask how you guys are doing, but I know how you guys are doing because I'm doing the same way.
What are you talking about? You don't know how I'm doing.
I can't assume that you were doing amazing because we've got new stuff.
You're right. I'm doing amazing.
I knew it.
Yeah, that's it.
Also, amazing, Swain?
Of course.
Quite amazing.
You got it.
What a week. I've been playing so much Crucible. It feels so fresh. What a cool event to have that is this 1 week for us.
Oh, yeah. I mean, not just that, but just playing every other game mode with that 2.0 touch to it. I mean, everything is looking sharp and fantastic, and all the little quality of life tweaks are just making me so happy.
So many awesome changes. Everything just feels right.
It feels right.
And yet, it's not radical. There's no huge differences. It's not like it's night and day. It feels like we just evolved a little bit. Everything's just a little bit better than it used to be.
So good.
Y'all are listening to Crucible Radio.
Crucible Radio.
Show for all things Destiny PvP. And, man, we're really going to shine this week. We've been waiting for this week for a long time.
I'm ready. Let's do this.
Well, let me just say real quick, if you're a fan of this show, I know you're listening right now, you tune in every week, you want to help us out, give us a follow on Twitter at Crucible Radio. You can follow our personal accounts and have fun conversations with us. Follow us on iTunes, too, or RSS.
Yeah, subscribe.
Podcast Addict. And not only are you going to get the most recent episodes delivered straight to your listening device the moment they come out, but you're going to get access to exclusive content that does not exist anywhere else. You can't get it anywhere else.
Nope, just here.
It's right here.
I'm talking about the PEEV episode.
The secret PEEV episode?
Oh, yeah.
The rumors are true.
What's that about?
Well, we're all PvP guys, but in our spare time, we like to nip off and play some of the PvE content, and I think we're going to have to talk about it. Taken King.
That's right. We are going to do a special episode exclusive to iTunes subscribers or RSS subscribers where we talk about the story, the new quests, the new subclass quests, and everything like that. Everything that's outside of the Crucible that we can't really dive into on this show. We are just going to go crazy for one day and tell you our thoughts.
Who is this new king? Who has taken him? What are we supposed to do about it?
Why is it our fault?
Whoa, don't get too crazy.
Spoiler, sorry. Okay.
Spoilers, there's a big king that comes. Maybe you guys haven't heard, but there's a big king. I've said too much already.
All right, guys, we got a lot to get through. Where do we even get started? I mean, if you live in the Crucible, there have been a lot of changes, but I think the most obvious one is that you can go into the Crucible and you just hear a symphony of all these different guns that you never used to hear before.
Even a light show, too, with the hard light.
Oh, the light show.
Seriously. Yeah, I mean, just actually having to look up in the top right to see what weapon killed you and seeing a word you've not read in 6 months is just so fun. It's, of course, everyone's just trying out new things and seeing what works, and a meta is evolving as we speak, but it's been really great to just be like, you know what? I'm going to use Monte Carlo for this match, or yeah, I guess I'll use a fusion rifle.
I would put a little disclaimer here. We're talking about this 1 week kind of meta that's appearing, and will probably be changing a ton as of next week.
A ton.
Like there are the new weapons coming out next week that we haven't even gotten to touch yet. New Arms Day weapons, all that. So what's going on right now is fun, but it will change even more.
Yeah, exactly. And we actually have a very special guest that will be joining us sometime
so special.
in October.
Hype.
The hype is real. We are going to go so in depth with the meta. Things will have settled. We'll talk about weapons exclusively in depth. So just get ready for that and keep experimenting. Keep trying out new things. Everyone has their opinion on what the 3 best guns are right now, but you never know. There's some diamonds in the rough out there, and it's gonna be a fun month just learning about all the new guns that we don't even. Oh, there's so much coming. I'm so excited.
I will say that we're in this weird limbo where we've got year 1 weapons and year 2 balance, but it feels like they got this one right. All the stuff that used to be good is still good. You can still rock the last word. You can still rock Thorn. Favorites like Mida still do the job real well.
Mida multi-bay.
It's good. But there's just kind of space for everything. We'll see how it plays out, but it kind of feels like they got this one right. And I apologize. I love Thorn. I loved it before. I loved it now. It's different, and there's a lot of other things that can go head to head with it, but Thorn is still nasty. Oh, and I still love it.
The fact that we got a ton of questions saying, what do you guys think is the best weapon right now? I can't figure it out. That speaks volumes that they got this right. That so many people are trying to figure out what the best weapon is, but it's kind of hard because they're all the best weapon.
So stay tuned. We're going to talk about weapon balance a whole lot more in the future once things settle down. But we saw some changes, some very immediate changes to the subclasses that we use day in, day out. I mean, for starters, Blink? Something happened to Blink.
Something happened.
A few things happened to Blink, actually. They added like a trail that helps you track where the blink is happening. They also took away... There's like a brief moment that you can't ready your weapon. So that's kind of where they put the nerf for Blink Shotgun. It's not, entirely out of the question. You'd still Blink Shotgun. You just gotta be really good at it. And you gotta know your opponents, you gotta know your spacing. But they took the easiness of the quick draw Blink Shotgun out by just putting that little bit of cooldown.
Yeah, I mean, the whole science of Blink Shotgun is that you just get up as high as you can above your opponent, and literally the moment you're coming out of the blink, you're ready to start lining up and taking that shot. And now that's kind of off limits until you're pretty close to the ground at that point. I like an aggressive shotgun style, and I love blink, but I find myself just kind of using blink for all the other stuff, for defensive blinks, for movement blinks, for escape blinks. And when I want to play an aggressive aerial shotgun game, I'm going for glide instead. Because it doesn't have that delay.
I know I was watching Texas Prod player earlier, and he wasn't even using blink. He was using the high jump to his advantage to get above people and to kind of confuse them as he's going around corners and all that.
Well, they made another change to Blade Dancer too, and Swain, I imagine you're excited about this one. I'm glad I saved all of my clips of popping bubbles with Razor's Edge already, because Razor's Edge will no longer penetrate a Titan Defender bubble.
Which is great for me. I've been playing a lot of Defender recently with the sticky grenades and all that. So it's nice to feel a little bit...
You and your sticky grenades.
Feel a little bit safer inside the bubble.
Yeah, and that gives that subclass a huge advantage with its super now, which was kind of on the short end of the stick with how many other supers could... get rid of it. But with a game type like zone control coming, where it really matters where you are, that bubble just became that much scarier, and it will cost people to use their Nova Bombs or Golden Guns just to get on those control points. So that's a huge buff for defenders.
There was also some Sunsinger changes. Nothing crazy. They modified a little bit. Bones, what do you think about them?
The Warlocks as a whole are I like what they did. And this applies to everything, but they gave recovery a little bit more value, and Warlocks are the class with the highest recovery, and it's kind of a valid build now. I used to run, I'd try to max speed, and then I'd get as much armor as possible, or sometimes balance those two, but I'd always have the lowest recovery because it just didn't matter to me. But now, running Sunsinger, I can put a little more recovery on and sacrifice some armor and speed, and I feel like I'm staying alive and getting back in there faster, which is, racking up those kills. I like it a lot. And they also did nerf the ram. I gotta say, it was a smart move. It was a little ridiculous. And this is coming from a hardcore warlock. I've said it before. I think it was a good call, so I'm happy with that change.
Yep.
I will go back real quick. They did nerf the range that the arc bolt can attach itself to people, so you can't just, it's not as easy to just throw it down a hallway and get those 3 chain kills. You gotta really hit them, kind of like how you had to hit someone with the scatter grenade before. You gotta be a little bit closer. That the verbiage in the way they say it, it makes it seem like there's a thermal, so like a firebolt grenade too. I don't know. From what I can tell and from what I hear people saying, that the firebolt grenade has a little bit of a nerf too.
Yeah, but that's okay because that thing was nuts. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Well, so not only did they nerf the range on the arc bolt grenade, they also tick the damage down considerably, a full 25%. And I'm sad to see it go. I use arc bolts exclusively. I'm always wearing my Lucky Raspberry. It smells terrible inside. But it was a little much being able to throw an arc bolt, tag 3 people, and then clean them up with 1 hand cannon shot each, or maybe 1 or 2, maybe a headshot each.
Yeah.
And this keeps some of that damage potential. It keeps the sort of fun linkage of the arc bolt. But it puts it in the area of effect grenade category instead of the just raw damage dealing category, which fair.
I definitely notice the difference, and it feels much better to be able to be like, oh, whoa, that didn't get me all the way down to 1 tick of health. It's great.
You know what I liked though was they added this sort of lightning electricity effect to it. Have you guys noticed that?
Yeah.
It kind of fills your screen, and it seems to be similar to Thorn, where it's not. The tick is a little slower, so you're not totally obscured, but I like these visual changes. I feel like I'm not put out of the game for 10 seconds because of Thorn. And yes, the arc bolt is weaker, but it does throw me off a little bit. I have to kind of get my bearings and get this lightning out of my face first.
I don't know if you guys noticed it, but there's a little bit of a change with how the bloodied effects around the corners of your screen come up. Mm-hmm. They seem to have a little bit more specific, if you're getting hit from behind, it's the lower half. Kind of threw me off at first, but it added to the way you figure out where you're being attacked from.
Yeah, all the little visual cues are really nice. The audio cues.
Oh yeah, the audio cues.
When weapon perks actually proc, you hear the Hawkmoon round get that little boost and stuff like that. It's just, it comes into play so often and you sort of don't notice. But then at the end, you're like, wow, that was really nice. I'm loving all those touches.
I've heard it a few times on the Stranger's Rifle as I'm using it. Mm-hmm. You hear the ding.
You get your little final round notification. You get your luck in the chamber notifications. It's helpful. Well, let me ask you guys. I've certainly been playing a lot of Crucible in the past 48 hours. I know you guys have. What build have you been using in this new 2.0 balance?
Sunsinger all the way.
Yeah.
It's I'll admit I'm not liking Blink. I'm so comfortable with the old Blink. It's going to take me some getting used to, but I've been running Sunsinger like crazy with the Void Fang vestments, and it just works. I feel really comfortable using Glide now. I love my Flame Shield from my melee. When it does happen, that thing's amazing. I'm loving Sunsinger at the moment.
What about weapon loadout?
Weapons, well, I have played a few games with Mida. I will not lie. But I do enjoy scout rifles as a whole. I tried out the 1-1 Synthesit. Is that what it's called?
Synthit?
Synthit?
Niche?
Niche. Whatever. It's that Vanguard scout rifle. It has the same impact as Mida. I love it. And I did get that Dead Orbit, that little staple gun. It's a little rickety for me, but I enjoyed both. I think scout rifles are my favorite right now. And then I'm just sort of sniping away with her benevolence, but I liked that new Hake test sniper. It felt good. I like that clunky, slow snipers. Those are my favorite.
What about you, Spine?
If you looked at my quest line, you could tell that I've been equally using Defender and Striker, kind of bouncing back and forth depending on how I feel. Defender, I would say mostly. Since I've been playing a lot of Rift, being able to just put the bubble down in front of my Rift runner and as they pass through, they get the the blessing of light, and it helps extend that a little bit more. I've been using that. As far as weapons go, I've been back and forth. Pulse rifles mostly, Stranger's rifle now that it's legendary. But as far as secondaries go, we did all the test rifles. I like fusion rifles again. It's weird. I've been using Plan C a little bit, and that test fusion rifle, I actually did pretty well with it.
Oh, that Omelon one is very satisfying. If that is sort of the shape of fusion rifles to come, I'm pretty excited for what we're gonna get.
It's so pretty, and it hits like a truck. It's so weird.
Yep.
I would love for a version of that had like accelerated coils or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Birds? What have you been running?
Oh, I just copy Bones. The reality is that I've spent 90+% of my PvP time playing Blade Dancer and Voidwalker. And they both have Blink. And, I have spent some time playing Blade Dancer so far in 2.0, but I really have fallen in love with the Sunsinger. I've really rethought the way I treat shotguns. The combination of the melee, the flame shield, and the glide just gives you a kind of mobility and really a great escape hatch if things aren't going well. So many times I've been in a 1v1 gunfight with my primary, and I'm not doing so hot, and there's no cover to duck right behind. So instead, I just launch myself towards them, switch to my shotgun, and just try and get over their head. And against good players, they can usually see it coming, but more often than not, it's just very disorienting to play against. And try for the shotgun, try for the melee, and even if they end up taking me down, they'll usually still end up burning out. So yeah, I've definitely seen a lot of the Matador 64, Mida and Thorn, and that Sunsinger with Voidfang vestments. Such a huge perk. Voidfang and Lucky Raspberry are so key now because none of us have any discipline anymore. So you really, really need some way to get a hand on those grenades.
I will say this: I've been all the new maps, I keep dying because I get stuck behind something, or I go to turn around and I run into a piece of clunky, level furniture. I can't. I said this to one of our listeners on Twitter. One of the key things you need to do when you jump into Crucible is learn the maps, and I'm still learning these maps. But on that note, we have a ton of new maps. We've all pretty much played all of them. I've played almost all of them. Birds, you want to get us started?
Yeah. Well, I do want to say before we dive in, I've noticed that the vast majority of the maps are far more symmetrical than any of the maps we've seen to date. And I have to suspect that after the fiasco of year one trials, where first we had 6 maps and then we had 3 maps and we just had Burning Shrine and a little bit of filler in between every time. These maps seem designed for trials. And I think Crossroads is probably not a trials map, but that's first up. I have to say I love Crossroads. It's a big map, and it offers a lot of different types of map layout. So if you want to play a close game, if you want to play a snipe game, if you want to play the mine games, dipping around boxes, those are all available. I really love Crossroads for Rift and for Control and other game modes that require using the B-heavy Rift spawning portal area, because those portals are so much fun. I was cleaning up playing mine games with people, just stepping back and forth through the portal. Just step through real quick, check the radar, step back. If I saw 1, all right, maybe I'm just going to charge in. If I saw 3, I might pop my super first. There's some, high-level Crucible play is dominated with mind games, and to have these portals to play with that go both directions, just a blast, a lot of fun. What about Bannerfall? Bones, how you liking Bannerfall?
Bannerfall is a standout to me. It's not my favorite, and I'll talk about my favorite in a bit, but Bannerfall is really solid. I love the visuals of the tower, well, the city, not the specific tower. But it's so nice. It's so smooth. There's long sight lines for sniping. My favorite thing right now is to spawn in at the beginning of the game, get up on those balconies and try to snipe across as someone else is doing the same thing. Like, those first blood kills are really exciting. And then I love peeking through the doors at B. It's right there in the middle in control, and you can just peek your head in and see 4 guys that are looking through the other door and let it rip. And it's a fun, clean map, and I love the style of it. It plays really smooth, and I just feel like it's balanced. I feel like there's no spot where I can just hide out forever and snipe, which is a good thing. But there's plenty of new angles to discover and long sight lines for sniping. So it's a favorite of mine for sure. Swain, what about Sector 618?
It's funny. This map will actually continue my love of PlayStation exclusive maps. It's the first one I learned pretty well. I don't have it all down yet, but I played enough on it that I think I have a handle of all the lines and where people are coming from and where I am on the map. It's got a lot of these nice little like hidden perches, like inside boxes on little platforms. But the platforms are, well, I haven't really experienced much suicides in this map, but it's possible. There's a lot of platforms to be jumping across, a lot of like narrow hallways to run into the other team. But that just creates one-on-one gunfights. But I really like this map. Burns, what do you think about Ghost Ship?
I might be willing to go so far as to say that Ghost Ship is my favorite of the new maps. It's small and it's very symmetrical, and I really liked that I felt like I was able to learn the map very, very quickly. It just kind of makes sense. Some of the others, Bannerfall in particular, I'm having a lot of trouble figuring out how it fits together. Ghost Ship is all about the extremes of the big open space and the tight little hallways. But it is responsive to both shotguns and snipers and fusions. I got my fusion test bounty done there. But who can deny how cool is it with the low gravity? The way bodies float away, ammo kind of floats down, orbs don't seem very tethered. I think visually it's familiar, but it's very cool. But the physics just put it over the top. In particular for threes, I think it is a very well-designed skirmish map. So there's another map that we saw quite a bit of before we got our hands on ourselves, and that would be Frontier. Bones, what do you like in Frontier?
I like everything in Frontier. Frontier is my new favorite. I was really excited to see it after I was watching the Red Bull Rift tournament, and it delivered. The outside area with the bridge, specifically in Rift, where everyone is fighting to pick up that spark in the middle, is just so crazy and hectic. But if you just sneak out to the sides, hide in the rocks, you will flank people for days. I love the open spaces. Like, sniping is good, but there's different places to stand. Of course, you can stand wherever you want, but in some of the other maps, I can think of certain doorways to peek out or certain boxes to stand on. But with Frontier, there's these wide, rocky areas where you can peek out over at a different spot along those rocks and still get good angles. So you're not necessarily in the go-to sniper spot. You have to move around, but there's plenty of ways to sneak up. And then once you're in the buildings, those rift runs are crazy because you're still getting used to the maps and you don't know which door they're going to fly out of, but you know you got to get back there. And you can just really flank hard, sneak around. I'm a big fan of Frontier. It's definitely my new favorite. And I love the lore attached to it with the Twilight Gap off in the distance. It looks great.
Next up would be Memento, which I found a little hard to get used to. It's really tight down the center. You have these like little hallways off to the side and that little perch overlooking the building for heavy ammo. It's very dynamic. There's lots of areas that make it interesting to like shoot from, and the visuals are amazing. I love the old European Dead Zones look. It kind of complements the Widow's Court that we already have really well. It's a really good scout rifle map and a really good sniper map. If you are hanging back on the ledges, shooting down the middle, it'll make for an interesting trials map, I think.
If you ever wanted to play a Call of Duty map in Destiny, you've got it now, Memento. I think I'm the only one here who's gotten a chance to play the dungeons, which takes place on Orcs' ship, I think. Visually, stylistically, it's very cool. It's really a look that we haven't seen yet, and it lends itself well to good ledges, good angles, but a lot of very curved walls, curved hallways that makes for interesting sightlines. I will say, dungeons took quite a while to learn the verticality of the map. You've got a B point at the very bottom, and A to C is pretty much stacked right on top of it. It makes your radar very difficult to read if you're not familiar with the routes through the map. But I think it'll prove interesting in a 3 setting. 6s can be a little chaotic on dungeons. It just feels a bit small.
I'm not sure. If you thought dungeons looked good, you'd need to play more Vertigo, because Vertigo is so cool and another one of my favorites. But I love the lighting that they did. They did a little preview video with Game Informer a few weeks ago where they talked about how one side has the sun exposing half the map and the other one is in shadows. And similar to how Cauldron uses green and blue and red to tell you where you are, you get this nice indicator of what side you're on. And it's such an angular map where all these vex structures create hard right angles, and it feels flat. Like you feel like you can just run in a circle, but there's so many ups and downs and boxes to stand on, and even trying to peek down the hallways in the middle, you look around a corner and you just look up and down at all these different platforms. You have no idea where someone could be standing. So I love how they just create so many levels on a relatively small, tight, flat map. It's very fun. And Rift with the giant teleport and running through that and flying across to go to someone's Rift is one of the more satisfying Rift moments I've had this week.
So that takes us through the maps, but we got patch notes for 2.0 that I can say took me a good 40 minutes to wrap my head around. Pretty extensive, and definitely got me very fired up about some of the changes that I saw. One thing that I thought was interesting was that looking at the list of perk changes, overwhelmingly perk nerfs, got me kind of thinking, oh man, this is going to change everything for shotguns in particular. You've got hammer forge nerf, you've got aggressive ballistics nerf, you've got shot package nerf, you've got rangefinder nerf. Maybe the shotgun build is entirely different, what you're shooting for. And personally, I kind of found that some of these changes, these 50%, these 60% changes that they made, didn't actually feel that far off. I mean, they have got us a bit more in balance, but, my shotgun snipers are still sniping away. I don't know. What did you guys think?
There was a lot of tiny changes to all the mostly first year perks, but I think almost all of them were a great call. I haven't found one that took anything in the wrong direction, but there's a lot to experiment with how many perks there are. But I just think they made some of the guns make sense a little bit when compared to other guns. I mean, if you consider the strength aggressive ballistics has on some guns, I mean, it turns BTRD into a 3 headshot kill instead of 4 without aggressive, and things like, Radagast Fury getting rolled 200 times to just max out blast radius and velocity just made it kind of crazy, and it made it the go-to choice. So I think all of these tiny little adjustments will make the super guns and the perfect rolls a little less of a big deal, and we might start seeing, I like that perk and I know it's good, but I also like this one, and I'm going to try out both and maybe develop a play style because of that. So I think it just evens the base level out a bit and lets other guns be valid.
I mean, the reality is that the year 1 guns aren't going away, at least in the Crucible, because of the experience and light leveling that they do. With a lot of these perks just getting cut down a notch, it seems like what they're saying is that, yeah, perks are fun, they make a gun unique, they make it special and feel like your own, but it's really more about the gun you choose to use instead of the perks you happen to have on it. And without the sort of universal reforge mechanic that we enjoyed in House of Wolves, I think that's a pretty reasonable choice. I would hate to get the perfect sniper rifle, but get stuck with perks that just can't compare to others that are drastically more effective.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the idea of spending your time trying to find that perfect weapon. You know, you're playing the Crucible a bunch instead of sitting in front of Banshee re-rolling and re-rolling and re-rolling. It's much more exciting to, you know, get that perfect drop and you're like, yes, I finally got it. I got the sniper rifle with, you know, short gaze and hidden hand. You know, it'll be much more rewarding.
I mean, Reforging just made junkies out of all of us. And I have to say that
guilty.
Rolling the perfect Ash Factory and the perfect shotgun after, I don't even want to say how many rolls, that wasn't nearly as satisfying. The rush of that just wasn't as much as when I got my perfect LDR, like you say, with short gaze, with final round, with unflinching. I mean, when that one landed, it just came perfect. And I think it's a cool thing to say, don't decide what perks you want and throw out anything that doesn't have them. We're going to give you some perks and you can try them out and see what you like. They're just a little less accessible, and you may end up trying some things that you wouldn't have even considered otherwise, but maybe are a great fit for you once you get into them.
Yeah. RIP in peace, final rounders.
I don't think Reforging is going to go away for good, though. We might see it with trials, weapons. I've seen some people data mining on the Destiny armory. Not data mining, but just looking at it. But it looks like you might get some reforging on those weapons, and we always have the Iron Banner weapons, which we will get a whole set of new ones.
I don't know if you know about hacking in 2015, but
just
data
looking
mining
at
and
the
hacking
screen
just means searching in Google and going to Bungie.net. There's a lot of tech-savvy people out there who can find the details before anyone else, so watch out for those hackers.
Whoever has the best internet speed.
That's the rule. So we've told you guys plenty about what our experience has been in 2.0. Swain, what are our listeners asking about in 2.0?
Well, we got 2 questions here. 2 that we hand-selected. Wrote them down on index cards to get ready for the show.
Only of the finest quality.
Yes. Finer,
that birds and I cannot see.
Yep.
Well, first one is from Kyle J. Goodman, and he asked, when working on awareness, is it best to move with teammates or find an alternative route looking for 1v1s? What do you guys think?
Kyle, I think you're scratching the surface of one of the most important issues to really wrap your head around when it comes to playing team versus team. In particular, I'm thinking of sixes. And that's this ability to determine where the front is. You know, with the radar, I've heard it described, Destiny is a very magnetic sort of game. So as long as we have radar, we will find opponents and we will run towards them and we will try and kill them.
Oh boy.
It is such an important skill to be able to identify where that showdown is happening, how many people are on each side, and where the exact center of it is. And I think it's really only when you've done that can you start to make a decision. You could say, all right, well, I'm going to sort of sit back and let somebody else soak up the bullets while I line up a snipe. You may say, we're outnumbered, so I'm going to dig in and find a spot I can defend and let them run through the door. Or maybe I'm going to go for the flank and try and catch them off guard.
Yeah, and in regards to running with teammates or, looking for those 1v1s, I say tentatively stick with teammates, but it really changes if you are running solo in the Crucible because you cannot trust those blueberries. Nope. And they will run off like crazy, and maybe sticking with them means they're going to sprint towards B that is getting capped by 4 Defender Titans. I mean, who knows? But it is important to know where they are and to know that if they are a capable teammate, if they are standing on the middle platform and shores, peeking in at the hallway or at B, then you don't need to be there. You can watch the circle room or check over at C, and that will help you confidently know that to my right is my teammate who will at least let me know where someone is, or I'll see them die first. And then you can focus on the other area. So not necessarily run with teammates, don't be standing next to them, but certainly know where they are, because just getting used to where everyone is the first step. And then also try to put something behind you that you know won't kill you. Like the boats, as Fizz calls them, on Shores of Time. Snipe over at C, you got no one behind you. Or set up at A, which is a strong setup position, and you know that no one is coming from behind you. That leaves 180 degrees to just not worry about.
Yeah, it seems this is very steeped in him thinking, like, if following teammates in Rift a viable option. But speaking of Rift, we have our second question. It is by IA Matman.
I am Matman.
Matman.
I am Atman.
AMA Matman.
He's been playing a ton of Rift and trying new strats. Have any of you ran any kind of goaltender strategies? Well, Matman, I can say that as my defender titan, I've tried it a few times. I've stuck back by the Rift, trying to defend off oncomers, but I don't think, personally for me, I don't think that strategy works well. I find myself trying to sit off to the side if the other team is getting the Rift and they're running in. I don't want to be like dead on waiting for someone to blink over me or have the whole team come at me. I want to find a spot that they're not gonna expect me to be in. But mostly you just kind of you want to be in the position of the Rift runner, and you won't have to worry about playing goaltender.
I think the reality is that in Destiny, an aggressive play style really pays off, and Rift is no exception. If you sit back and wait for the action to come to you, unless you're real good with those quick scopes, you're gonna be at the disadvantage. Obviously, if you pick up the spark or your team picks up the spark, your goal is to get it to the Rift. If the enemy team picks up the spark, your goal isn't to defend your Rift, it's to kill the person running the spark. And if you can put yourself headed towards them to take them out and do so in between the path of the Rift and the spark runner, I think really that's your best bet. Don't wait for them to come to you, because they're getting points with every step they take.
I think the respawn time has actually come into play with my strategy, because I'm dying over by the spark. Because I want it and I want to pick it up and I want to run it. So when someone else does and I try to kill them and I end up dying in that frenzy, I got to wait 7 seconds, I think, to respawn, or maybe 10. And of course I'm going to spawn in the back. So suddenly I'm playing defense, and I realize I'm a little slow, especially if they're running fast. And I think I do need to back off a little bit if I do see them pick up the spark, because it's so tempting to try to sprint there, stop them immediately, throw a grenade or whatever, but it doesn't take too long to pick that up, and then they know to just blink out of there or something like that. So I definitely find myself using this respawn time to determine how I play. But I did notice, played this game on Black Shield, and oh boy, they would let us pick up the spark a couple times, and they just hung out in the back, and it was impossible to run it over there. That might be the map, that might be A side being stronger, but it was impossible to get through that cave, and there was no way you're going right through the door at the front. So that was definitely a solid strategy when 5 people agreed to do it.
Well, as always, guys, that if we used your question on the air, we have a Red Bull code coming your way. That may change in the future when Red Bull codes aren't so useful. But we answer your question. Hit us up on Twitter, Crucible Radio, shoot us a DM or an @ and we will get it over to you.
In the future, it will just be cans of Red Bull, just like different flavors and stuff. But
empty cans of Red Bull.
Yeah.
And we're not going to mail them. They're just going to show up in your yard. So you really have to keep an eye out for them. Don't ask how. Well, guys, we thought it would be kind of cool to do something a little bit different. Instead of having, one interview guest come on, because who wants to be the interview guest that talks the day before Taken King comes out? We instead decided to look back at year one and think about our favorite moments and talk to some of our past guests and figure out what it was that they really loved about year one in the Crucible. Before we go to them, though, what are you guys going to miss from year one? What about you, Swain?
Oh, man. Well, I will miss quite a bit. It'll be nostalgic. It won't be so much like, oh man, I wish I had that, or I wish I can still experience this. It'll be like, oh, I'll look back and be like, oh yeah, Thorn was so great to use. It was so easy to use, and the last word was fun. And I think mostly I'll miss the multi-tool. I don't have it yet on my new account, but playing with it that first year was awesome. It was one of my first exotics, and going in the Crucible and being one of the only people using it was always fun. A little bit frustrating, but still fun.
Hey, don't worry, buddy. It'll come back.
Thanks, man. I needed that.
No problem. Oh, man. I've said so many times on this show that I want new guns and I love the future, but this week has certainly made me nostalgic, and I am going to miss wrecking people with auto rifles back in the day. My Vanquisher with glass half full. It was so fun. I loved blinking around with Found Verdict before Fellwinters, and just realizing that there's eras to this game already that's only existed for a year and we have so many more years to go. I love thinking back on, oh yeah, remember that time when auto rifles were dominant, or when Fellwinters rose to power? Even the things we hated about those times were just like, it's so good to remember that. So I just love the transitions we've gone through, and I hope we have more balance, but I also look forward to, the age of pulse rifles or something like that. So I don't know. I love it all.
You know what? I'm not afraid to say it. I'm proud of it. I'm going to miss Blink Shotgun, the rampant Blink Shotgun and Thorn combination. It wasn't balanced, and it was no fun to be in Rumble, trying to Blink Shotgun 5 other Blink Shotgunners, because that's what worked. But it was just unlike anything else. There's just never been a game I've played that had such an aggressive, close-up, disorienting, twitchy strategy that was so effective. I mean, you're teleporting around with the shotgun. There's nothing else like it. And it's not going away, but it won't be the same. And I couldn't not mention the perfect counter to Blink Shotgun, The Last Word. I feel such a connection to The Last Word, and I think out of the top tier weapons, it probably got hit the hardest. Thorn is doing just fine in year 2, and maybe it'll come back. But there were matches where every single one of my kills came from The Last Word. I could use it at range, I could use it up close, I could use it in the air like no other gun, and I'll miss it. I liked pretending to be a cowboy, man.
Dude, speaking of getting attached to guns, I felt some type of way this week when I realized you could do the thing where you change what gun shows in the tower. And I was finally able to flaunt my Her Benevolence. And of course, everyone has one, or at least grinded for one at some point. But that gun, that's been an extension of my hands for the past few months since House of Wolves started. That gun has got me so many kills, and it's that one specifically that I rolled and put work into. And I look forward to my next relationship with a sniper rifle, but I feel things, and it's weird.
You snipers, you guys get attached to very specific guns, and like no one else.
You should see my secondary. It's like a sidearm, the party crasher, and then the rest is filled with snipers.
I'm going to edit this out. I actually I'm super sleep deprived. It's been a weird 24 hours. I kind of teared up talking about The Last Word a little bit.
Oh, dude, for real, it's just like, I like new things, but now that I realize I spent every day with stuff, it's like, oh. Guys, before I start crying, let's say goodbye to year 1.
It's been so hard to say goodbye to yesterday.
The time spent laying by her side, dreams
Listeners, Bones here. Hey, we'd really appreciate it if you guys followed us on Twitter at Crucible Radio. If you subscribed on iTunes, it's totally free. You know, if you want to check out Podcast Addict on Android, that's free too. Everything on our show is free. It's wonderful, but we really appreciate if you followed us on those sort of things. And we just love the feedback we're still getting. It feels so good to hear from you at all times. Constantly talk to me and Swain on Twitter. We love responding. Birds also does respond now. It's been confirmed. He tweets.
Yep.
At
Birds tweet.
What's your handle?
At Famous Birds? You kidding me?
At Famous Birds. At Bones_CR. At Swain Stash _CR.
Yep.
Did I get it right, Swain?
Yep.
This is great. Guys, we look forward to year 2 and hearing from you then.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you didn't see that?
Inferno's not getting heavy? How did
Yeah.
I miss that?
And more special.
Oh, I did see the special. No heavy.
Yeah.
That is f***ing awesome.
Just add this.
That's what Inferno ought to be. God.
Memories like the corners of my mind.
Alright, what's up everyone? Texas Prod here, gonna be talking about Year 1 Destiny. The first time I picked up Destiny was about a month and a half after it came out. I was really interested in the whole PvE aspect. I was an MMO nerd, I'm not gonna lie. I played RuneScape and World of Warcraft, but I also played Halo competitively, so I was really interested in this whole, this combination. I convinced a couple of my in-real-life friends to pick up Destiny, give it a shot. We started with PvE, doing raids. Actually, our first Vault of Glass, it was very successful. I got a Vex Mythic class after 8 hours. Just ignore how long I said it took. But, yeah, that's how it started for me, PvE. I started looking at PvP, and I'm not going to lie, my in-real-life friends kind of holding me back a little bit. So I started looking for competitive clans. Actually turned to Google and found Void through a nice little Destiny competitive clan Google search. It was a little over my head at first, I was kind of taken aback. I was like, whoa, you can match people? This it almost feels so underground. I've met some of my best friends through Inclement currently. Man, the very first trials, Burning Shrine, hanging out with a couple people in my clan at the time. We were talking about, what's the next step, man? This is supposed to be competitive Destiny, the competitive playlist, and we're just stomping every single team we play. I was playing with Worn Out Pen and Invicta at the time. PlanetDestiny was also there, Nivea TV, OG Trainwreck. I turned to helping people. I wanted to help people and help them go flawless because I realized, looking at the Destiny the game Reddit that, everyone was complaining. It's like, I'll never go flawless. It's like, it's not possible. There's just so much joy I get from when someone goes to the Lighthouse for the first time. They just screaming when they get that exotic emblem. They're so happy. It's like, yes, I got the f***ing scholar! Yes! It's like, oh, well, that gun kind of sucks ass, but I'm not going to tell them that now. If I had to guess, I know personally I've helped 546 people. I know Invictus helped over 500. I know Trainwreck has helped over 500. I know Kubari has helped over at least 400. We're in the thousands of the amount of people that we've helped, and it's amazing when you think about it. There's so many exotic emblems out there that have had a little bit of help from Inclement, but, you don't have to tell anyone that. About a week and a half after I got my PlayStation, I was on my favorite Reddit at the time, Crucible Playbook, of course, and I saw something about a PS4 tournament, and, I was kind of interested. I was like, hey, OG Trainwreck and Invicta had both had PS4s for about 2 weeks, and I was like, you want to enter this tournament for shits and giggles? And they're like, yeah, let's see what happens. Invicta had Invicta was lucky and got the Thorn Bounty. Trainwreck wasn't so lucky. He only had Oversoul Edict, and 5 hours before this tournament started, on my first PS4 flawless run, I was gifted the Hawkmoon. And I don't know if y'all have ever seen this video, but I invite y'all to go over to my YouTube channel and check out my reaction video from getting the Hawkmoon. The next 2 hours I spent with telemetries and all the bounties, the daily stories, heroic stories to get the extra XP, trying to get that Hawkmoon maxed out. Tournament time hits, and I've got my Hawkmoon with all my perks. And to make a long story short, we struggled a little bit with the weapons we had, but got knocked down in the losers bracket halfway through. But we actually came back and won the the PS4 tournament after having our PS4s for 2 weeks. I was using my brand new Hawkmoon I love so much. Invictor had his Lucky Thorn, and Trainwreck with the Clutch Oversoul. I'm really liking how the Crucible feels right now. I mean, I can feel like I can use any weapon and have some success. You know, I don't think that there's one weapon that's too crazy or, you know, one thing that's too overpowering right now, and don't hold me to that, please. But I'm really excited for the future of Destiny. Bungie's listening to the PvP community. You know, they're out there. They're watching streams. They're watching these tournaments. You know, I heard Bungie say esports, believe it or not. I mean, can you believe that? Think about it. Destiny, you know, becoming, I don't want to say, you know, the next competitive Halo, but I mean, think about it. Bringing first-person shooters back in it, you know, besides Call of Duty and all that. No thanks. But I really, really hope that Destiny competitive esports just takes off. And I'm looking forward to the future. I want to give a shout out to all my friends at Inclement. I want to give a special shout out, especially to the people who've helped me so much in trials. Edgardo, who's been there with more than half of my carries. Der Schnitzel, thank you so much, guys, for the help. Shout out to Furvius. Before I forget, make sure y'all keep a lookout for our Inclement montage. It'll have clips from all our Trials with Cyrus carries, so be looking for that. If you want to keep updated on what I'm doing, you can follow me at TexasProd on Twitter. Y'all have a great one, and I will see you in year 2.
Hey everyone, Mtashed Potato here, and that is never going to happen, so stop trying to make that happen! Thank you guys so much for having me. I had an amazing first year. A, because I got to be on your podcast multiple times, but B, because my life changed with the start of Destiny. You know, I always wanted to be a YouTuber. I always wanted to be famous. And Destiny is the building block to my success, essentially. I started off as this tiny little titan, tiny little hunter, pulling the trigger and pumping Goonies, and at the start, I was a nobody, an absolute nobody. I mean, I still am, but hey, a little bit less now. I started playing the beta. I would kill people, I'd get some nice kills, I'd make a montage, no one would watch it, I'd spam people like KJ Hovey, please! Trust me, I'm good, play with me! And he thought I was a loser and he wouldn't play with me, until I finally convinced him and then dragged him to my apartment and said, You play with me right now! And now we're friends. Very, very good friends. And that is what Destiny was about. I have met people that I never thought I'd play with. I've talked and shook hands with community members and the people that have made this game at this point, and I am starstruck. I am in awe that a little first-person shooter by the name of Destiny has put me on course to change my life. You know, this year for school, I'm not even going to have to work as much because YouTube is helping pay for my son's food and school and hockey and life. And that is a crazy feeling. And I just want to thank everyone out there who's ever watched one of my videos, clicked one of my videos, donated, said, hey, check out Mtashed video, because you have now been instrumental in helping me make this a career, a job, a lifestyle, where essentially I get to pump Goonies and make a bit of side money while I do it. That's huge. You know, I've gotten to travel because of you. I've gotten to smooch KJ Hovey because of you. And I sincerely appreciate it. You know, this game hasn't just been about growing a YouTube channel. It's been about making friends. It's about improving my family. One of my son's favorite things to do is to go on patrol and snipe dregs. He loves it. He likes to do challenge videos with me, and my bond with my son has grown more than you could imagine just because of a game that we both like to play, and we both, honestly, will continue to play until this game dies. I just hope that going into year 2, you guys have made a couple friends that you can take into year 2, go into the raid, grind it out together, laugh, cry when some glitchy stuff happens and you die, and improve on those relationships. And if you haven't, go on an LFG site, state your case, and make some friends in this, because this community is the best community I have ever been a part of. I have played many games, from RuneScape to Neopets to Pokemon to I don't care what it is. I have never consistently met people online that are so nice as this community. Thank you guys one last time. And let's go start this year off nice with the Taken King, pump some Goonies. And that's gonna be all I've got to say, because I need to go play some Lego with my son. Have a great day, everyone, and that's about it. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say. See you later. Bye-bye.
Misty watercolor memories of the way we were.
Hello, I'm Worn Out Pen, and I play Destiny. How's that intro? Pretty good, right? So yeah, I'm a streamer. I stream on Twitch. You can find me at Twitch TV/WornOutGaming. You could watch me play some Destiny. I run people through trials. I play Rift. I play anything you want me to. I also play the clarinet on stream, probably more often than not. If you ever come check it out, I'll be sitting in orbit just playing some clarinet. Or saxophone, I also play that. Or piano, depends how I'm feeling that day. Oh. So, I am the leader of a clan called Inclement. Ooh. I snipe a lot in Destiny. Always play PvP. None of that PvE stuff. I got about triple the amount of sniper kills than my primary kills put together. Going on about 25,000 sniper kills. Since this is a clarinet, I feel like I have to play this song real quick, so oh, nuggets. You get the idea. Greatest thing about year one. I'm going to talk about shotguns. Just kidding. I am going to talk about armor-piercing rounds. Those things were amazing. Absolutely awesome. My favorite thing about year one. Armor-piercing rounds on snipers. Now, just like everything, just like the Galahorn, no one thought they'd be good. So no one did anything about it for a couple months. And then people started to test it. And for people who aren't aware of what it used to do, you could shoot through anything you wanted. Just any wall. Doesn't matter about the size, width, anything. Just it goes right through with no damage drop-off. That is insane if you think about it. If you know someone's behind that corner, you just aim a little bit to the right, and you got a chance to get them with a headshot. It's completely broken, don't get me wrong. But it was still fun to use. Oh, jeez. And then, after about 2 months of everyone using it, they kind of dumbed it down. You can only shoot through glass from then on. It was still usable. I still used it. But this latest patch, that 2.0 patch, oh, it's done. It's completely through. You can't shoot through anything now, except for bodies. Who wanted to do that in the first place? But it had its run. Oh, it was so great. It's so rewarding too. Awesome montage clips. But I'm gonna miss it, even though it's completely broken. So I guess I'll just play myself out, you know.
Hey, I'm Invictor TV. I used to play Rumble all day, every day. I grinded it out. I was top 10 on the boards for that, and I used a Defender Titan. Even though nobody knew me, I played all the greats at the time. I played Wish You Luck, I played Pashi, I played Tomcat Chi, several times, and there are a lot of names that I recognize even still today that I didn't know were bigwigs at the time, and I simply played them like any normal player. I typically recognized them because I had played a match with them before, and was like, all right, this person's going to be tough. I have to buckle down for this match. But this was well before the OP weapons were out too much, like Last Word and Thorn. And I really enjoyed that meta. I really enjoyed it when people were using auto rifles and people were trying pulse rifles and scout rifles still. But to be fair, it was mostly auto rifles, Suros and whatnot. But I was the lucky one who had a Last Word. But abusing the bubbles and controlling mid-map and using Found Verdict, oh, so what a beast. And Last Word, I just mowed everyone down. It was a fun meta. It was fun to be that overpowered kind of person. I find it most notable, a big shift in the meta when the Fellwinter's shotgun rolled out and people were able to buy that. Because before then, the best shotgun in the game was arguably Found Verdict, unless you got a god rolled, maybe Crash Casket, Judgment, I don't know, Secret Handshake. Really, there weren't many good options unless you got lucky on a nice roll. So most people ended up using weapons they could get their hands on through their PvE play. Basically, there were a lot of Found Verdict and a lot of Swordbreaker, I remember. And I enjoyed that meta. I played strongest in that meta because the Found Verdict didn't have a high enough impact to take out Titan with Blessings of Light on. I found that so fun because I just, like I said, I abused the crap out of the Defender Titan bubble. I'd get my first few hundred kills. Those are always easy. Or a few hundred points, rather. My first little group of kills just using the special ammo back then. Back then, remember, we also had a lot of special ammo to start every pickup. Lots of boxes around the map. We never had to worry about really measuring our special ammo or where it might be and when it's going to be there. Yeah, Found Verdict, Defender Titan, like, you almost were invulnerable. You had to play bad or attack multiple targets at once when really all you had to do is sit in your bubble. Of course, you were wearing your trusty Helm of Sate 14, so anybody that came in immediately regretted it. And I mean, you were able to shred blades with Found Verdict, even if they could hit you once, and you had your Defender Titan bubble to still survive the hit. Or the simply Blessings of Light, I could walk outside of my bubble and take care of a blade, and still get hit once and move on and plug another shot with that full auto god of a shotty. Same with Sunsingers. I mean, everything. I live sticky grenades. I love that meta. I enjoyed it so much. I thought it was so nice to be able to take what was in the game, the classes and this MMO system of that of classes and whatnot, and fine tune it and develop a strategy that, as short a way to explain it, was overpowered, and just use your brain to kind of solve the puzzle. I think Destiny is one of the greatest games that has come out for console gaming. It's both a first-person shooter and an MMO, which is new. It's we've never had really a first-person shooter MMO. It basically takes first-person shooter fan base, people who play Call of Duty, who played Halo, who generally aren't really social people. I mean, we compete and that's it, but it took the FPS community and it threw it into this very social field, and we've got Reddits, we've got all these areas where we connect with each other, and it's just been a really cool community of helping each other out, of roasting each other, of all these kinds of things, and it's really cool to connect and become something more than simply I'm gonna walk into my PvP matches, my competitive matches, and just gun down people. One thing I find super cool is the fact that we acquire gear through our campaign progress, basically. Like, take Call of Duty, for instance. You go into Call of Duty, you run through the campaign, great. How does that help you for competitive? It doesn't. You start from level 1, you've got no unlocks from the PvE area. It doesn't matter whatsoever. A lot of people can just buy the next Call of Duty game, say, screw the campaign, I'm just going to shoot other players. But in Destiny, it takes that MMO requirement of having to go through the campaign to be the most successful, to get the best gear, and then you bring it into your PvE area. It's just really awesome how it's taken the FPS community and put this spin on it, and really allowed us to enjoy all of the game. We've evolved from simply Call of Duty, shoot 'em up, bang 'em up, and that's something quite spectacular on its own. Something that you don't really find anywhere else besides Destiny. May 19th, I think, was when House of Wolves came out, and Trials came out just a couple days later. To be honest, a lot of people didn't care for the PvP side of things. That's simply not their field. They're PvE players. They play the game to relax, to have fun with their friends, to make new ones, to connect, socialize, and accomplish together. And so PvP is kind of different than that. You go against someone. You have to, in order for yourself to succeed, you have to push yourself to be better than another and to crush their dreams. And it's not always the most fun for some people. It can be very frustrating. However, Trials of Osiris coming out with the House of Wolves, it changed things for the entire community. We went from a community that completely hated PvP, and albeit there's a lot of people that still do, however, it put a bigger focus on requiring PvP to be there. It put a bigger focus on, I want that gear, I want these weapons, I want to achieve this. And people began to really push themselves in PvP, in the competitive area. And it kind of was unique to see this community that we had developed evolve into a bigger, more diverse, stronger community where PvP was relevant and prevalent again. I remember the first weekend of Trials of Osiris, it was a joke. I could have double carried the first couple weekends. I would help 2 people through Trials at one time. But you saw people began to really evolve and get stronger and work on their gun game and work on their movement and work on their positioning and their teamwork. And you saw players that normally wouldn't have been able to beat a team that had great players on it and managed to pull through together because they had been working on it, they focused on their teamwork, and they clutched out another victory, another yellow bubble to the scorecard. And it was just really cool to see just one little addition to the game completely change how a lot of players saw it. And I know many people have come into my Twitch chat and say, if you saw me, you'd think I'd have no thumbs. I can't play this game. And over the weeks, they just got better. They watched streams, they did their math, they did their homework, they practiced, they went into Crucible as often as they could, and they really pushed themselves. And towards the end, I had many people telling me, hey, I really enjoyed the help that you gave. I love watching your stream. But you know what? I can do this on my own now. I went flawless last night with my friends, and it's just really cool to see people find a reason to achieve something that they originally were so frustrated by. Once more, it's unique to Destiny. You won't find this in Call of Duty. There's a real drive, and it's unique and kind of inspiring sometimes, and all that sort of stuff. This is Invictor TV, and I'll see you later.
What's up, guys? Fizzor here, bringing it to you live. What up, Crucible Radio? Thank you for having me on here. Year 1 for Destiny has definitely been an unforgettable experience. We've had moments where we were really excited about the game and moments that we really weren't. But at the end of the day, I think Destiny's really achieved something that a lot of these other games haven't gotten to do. It stands out above the others, and I really am excited for the future of Destiny. One of the things that early on, a lot of players coming from the community that I was involved in previously, which would be a competitive Halo community, a lot of those players were, right when you pick up a new game, you want to know, is it going to be competitive? Can I compete in tournaments and continue with my competitive gaming career with this game? So right out of the box, it was, a lot of people were like, it's just going to be a fun game to hold me over till the next Halo and stuff like that. But for me, it became something different. I didn't happen to be on a Halo team at the time. I kind of had free reign to do whatever I wanted to do, play any game that I wanted, and I became really attached to Destiny, not only for its game, but also for its community. You have people playing all different types of games before playing Destiny. It's just really diverse, and it's a really interesting environment to be a part of. I guess I'll stay talking about the PvP side of things because that's primarily what I know the most. I did do raids, and I've been a part of that, and of course I did the Vault of Glass right when it came out, and I've done the Nightfalls, and but the lore and the PvE was not my main focus for this game. I like that it's in there, and I like that we have a community that plays it, and I think that's really cool because we work together, and there are things that they know about the game that I don't know, and vice versa. So you guys want to know about early sweats, like sweaties? Like that's what it's called in this community. Other communities have different stuff, like random 8s or customs and stuff like that. Basically, what that is any of those terms all mean the same thing. And personally, the term sweaties makes me cringe, man. But you know what? Sometimes you just have to just go with it. And so we're going to just go with it, man. Embrace it. Embrace the sweat. You know what I'm saying? Just, oh yeah. Anyways, so like I was saying, basically what that means is just that you're going to be playing against other good players. So some of the earliest players that I played with that would definitely be Mtashed, and he had a couple group of friends, and Gabriel and stuff like that. And if you know the community, you know who these players are. But he approached me before he was even a streamer or any of this, and he was like, "Hey, dude, you want to play some games?" And I was like, "Of course, man! Like, I love playing against other good players." And oh man, it was definitely an experience. There was a lot of hype between this first setup. People that had been friends of Posh already were like, "Oh, you guys are gonna get crushed. You don't know who you're messing with." And I was like, "Oh man, please, I'll play anyone." So we go into our first series, and we end up taking the series from them. They played really well, but we won our first game, and that really shocked a lot of the players that had expected Pasha's team to win on this. And nonetheless, they played a great game, but I kept true to the Halo fundamentals, and it came out really well. But heavy ammo was still in existence at this point. People would still play with it. There would be 5 to 7 minutes of pure standoff, and nobody would move or do anything. The radar was so large, nobody wanted to get taken out by a rocket. At this time, I didn't even use proximity debt. So, I mean, that was a big moment for me because that was like, oh man, is this game really something I can play for the rest of my streaming career, or for a while? Because I couldn't stand that. That was people didn't enjoy watching it. There was no movement, no gunfights. It was a straight standoff for a very long time with no strategical way of really getting in. So it was a big eye opener for a lot of people of ooh, maybe everything that people have said was right. Maybe Destiny won't be competitive and stuff like that. But then moving forward, we've had a couple updates and a couple changes, and I do believe Destiny will be a competitive game. And just because it didn't come right out of the box doesn't mean that it can't be achieved. I think the future of Destiny is going to be really good. I think it's had some ups and downs, like I said, and it's had pure moments of where we were like, I don't know, man. I really, but Destiny has really come around. They listen to their community really well, and Inferno this time around. So let's bring it up to current date. 2.0 Inferno says, we're not going to spawn with special ammo. There is very long times on your special ammo box. There is no heavy ammo. And with all the balance changes, this means that Inferno, I think, is going to play better than ever. And that's what I've been really waiting to dig into. So in the meantime, I'll be in Mayhem. I think looking into year 2, we have a lot of really positive things to look forward to, and I'm super excited for it. I think finally we have maybe a game mode that could be considered a competitive environment. No radar, more balanced of a gunfight. The kill time isn't so dramatic. And I think it'll really be a good thing. I don't know. I know that this episode of this podcast is really meant to be focused around year one, but truly, I think at the end of the year, that's what everything was to me. It was just kind of a beta, if you will, or a testing environment to really put down everything we can and just give it our all. And now going into year two, we have good information to take with us and a good step forward. So I think more than anything, year one has just caused me to be more excited for year two. All right, so kind of as a closing, I just wanted to say thank you to Crucible Radio for having me on to this podcast once again. I mean, you guys have been absolutely phenomenal to work with. You guys produce a really high-quality podcast, and I enjoy being on here. I mean, you're not afraid to ask the PvP questions that people really want to know, and that's definitely been a big part of my year one. I mean, that can't go without being said. You guys have definitely made my year one experience just that much better, and I look forward to working with you guys in year two. Big shout out to anyone else who's on this podcast. You guys have been doing great work and keep up the amazing content. I think Destiny has, I've said it probably a couple times, but Destiny I think has one of the strongest communities right now, and we can keep that going and push forward into year two and really have an unreal experience from here on out. I mean, we have many years of Destiny left, and who knows what's in the future for us. So let's just keep doing what we're doing and keep moving forward. If you guys would like to follow my content, be sure to check out twitter.com/therealfizzor. And if you'd like to check out my Twitch page, it's twitch.tv/Fizzor. And finally, my YouTube channel is MLG Fizzor. So youtube.com/MLG Fizzor. Thank you guys for having me on here, and I look forward to seeing all of you in year two. Birds, bones, swaying. Later.
To year one. May those kindergartens who show up, those latecomers, never know what they missed.
Wait to
Dude, I remember
them.
my friend Bonji. Bonji got Destiny for Christmas, and I was like, dude, you have so much to catch up on. He's just like, I got a truth. I'm just like, you have no idea.
You don't even know.
Christmas noobs, man.
You don't even know.
Wait, what? Hey, cheers to that one dude who got a Vex Mythoclast before anyone else and realized it kills in like 0.0 seconds.
That
That was
guy.
I
amazing.
hate that guy. So sick of that guy.
The worst.
I hope it was fun.
Enjoy your fusion
The rest of the
rifle.
stuff we regular.
Birds are cutting you off.
Well, fine. I'm fine. I'm fine.
Bill Brasky.
Barrel Brass!
I heard that he was the Thorn.
Well, I heard that all of his shots of Wolfpack.
Dude, I heard Saladin like wasn't even at the Twilight Gap. Like he was there, but he didn't like fire a shot. He just like hit in the back.
What a nerd.
Well, I heard that Shax gets off on us killing each other.
Well, yeah. Have you heard
Yeah.
that dude? He's like, this is amazing.
Double down.
He's like into it. The more you do it, the closer it gets.
No place for mercy. What's the mercy rule then, Shax? Huh? Explain that one.
Bill Brasky.
I'm telling you though, guys, there was a game in November. I had 42 kills. I was using a Vanquisher, Found Verdict, and Gallahorn. You heard, yeah, Gallahorn in the Crucible. I'm not even kidding.
This is the Crucible. Put down your...
Don't use my rap lyrics against me.
To Destiny!
To Destiny!
To Destiny!
To Destiny!
Crucible Radio.
Yeah.
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 I make a comeback with all the rifle. So high like a boss. Vibe, blink off the map. Suicide.
Out of breath.
First from voice swaying is the
What?
mighty
Hey,
user.
shoot.
Got the Bible.
Can't kill me. I'm fired.
Somebody call an Uber.
Follow us on Twitter, @Crucible Radio. Thank you very much. I'm exhausted. I'll never do this again. Phones out.